Maybe we just continue the meeting, Nan, and push the Wolf Road project back another, maybe into 2021.
Only in your dreams. Well, done now.
Okay, everyone knows the meeting is now live on YouTube. We're just still waiting on Scott to come back.
Yeah, he says he's going to try one more time. If he can't, he's going to use his phone.
Okay, I made it.
Good morning, Scott. This is Ashley. We are live on YouTube and you do have a quorum, so I guess we can start whenever you are ready.
Okay,
Ready.
I'll be with you in 15 minutes. No, I'm teasing. Okay.
Good morning, Scott. It's Janine. Before you start, just wanted to remind you about the proposed substitute for 0262.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm.
0262. Okay, great. Okay, with that, the Cuyahoga County Public Works Procurement and Contracting Committee meeting for Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020 will be called to order. Roll call, please.
Calling the roll, Mr. Tuma,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Ms. Conwell,
Present.
Mr. Shrine. Mr. Shrine is absent. Ms. Baker,
Here.
there is a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. And is there any public comment this morning?
No, Mr. Chair, no one has submitted any public comment.
Okay, and if I could have approval of minutes from the November 18th, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion from
Second.
Councilwoman Baker and second from Councilwoman Conwell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And Madam Clerk, if you could please read the first matter referred to committee this morning.
Resolution number 2020-0261, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Wolf Road from Sutcliffe Drive to Clegg Road in the city of Bay Village.
Okay, and who do we have speaking on behalf of this legislation this morning?
Nicole English with Public Works.
Okay, Ms. English, if you could just give us an explanation as to this ordinance or this resolution rather.
This is the long-awaited Wolf Road project. So I know Councilwoman Baker is excited to see this today. This is the welfare and convenience, so our first step on the project, and we'll do resurfacing and bike lane additions on Wolf Road from Sutcliffe to Clegg in Bay Village. So this is a 2.6 mile project. It's pretty lengthy, but it's going to really encompass most of Bay Village, getting from Huntington Park through Cahoon in their city center, all the way to Clegg where Reese Park is, and connect up the bike lanes to Lake Road, which will get them into Rocky River. So this is a significant improvement through the city for multimodal use, and also getting their pavement redone on Wolf, which has a PCR of 63, which is fair to poor, going down every year as we wait on the project. So it's a $4.5 million total project. The county's committing 80%. So this is part of the operations, like an 80-20 job. The city will contribute 20%, and they are also performing the design on the project. They've hired the consultant to start the design on their end. They were hoping for this to be a 21 project, starting construction next year. I just spoke to their engineer a few days ago, and because of the delay, they had started some survey, but then they held off just to be sure the project was going to go. So they're still looking at revising a schedule to see if they can actually start next year, or if it would be moved to a 22 project.
Okay, and with that, as far as that time frame again, so they don't know if it will be a 2021 project as of yet.
Correct. They've started the design, but they're just not sure that they're going to have it ready. So we have to meet with them. We have a meeting scheduled next week with the city engineer in the city to talk about where it stands now that we're getting the legislation done. So we're still moving in the direction that it could be 21, but just in case, it might have to be half in 21, half in 22, based
Okay.
on where they're going to get with the plans this year.
Okay. And as far as action by council, what is the administration looking for as far as moving this along to get the plans rolling, or is this going to be?
Yeah, I
three
think
readings, or-
the city would feel comfortable. I mean, just because of only one more meeting in the year to get it done this year and second reading, just so they know it, that it's done and we can move forward and get them legislation on their
Okay.
end, if you could.
Okay, I'll open it up to questions from my colleagues. Okay, well, seeing none. If there are no questions, I'll make a motion for second reading suspension for R 2020-0261. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. I believe the ayes have-
Yeah, I'm sorry, I
Oh.
froze through that whole thing.
We withdrew the project, Ms. Baker. No, I'm teasing.
I know, wow.
Okay. Do you have any questions before I just made a motion to move it along to second reading suspension, and Councilman
thank you.
Miller was ready to move it along. Do you have
Okay.
any questions?
Well, I should just be quiet and allow the process.
Okay.
Really, the only thing I completely froze. So when does this begin? I didn't hear that. Next
So
year.
the hope was next year, as you know, but with a little bit of a delay, we're meeting with the engineers next week to just confirm a schedule. So they're hopeful maybe they can start some of it next year, but if not, it will be a 22 job and get done in 22.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's still a year out.
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thank you. I appreciate this rolling this along.
Right. And I think, Ms. Baker, the idea here of moving it along on second reading suspension is so that the design plans can get moving and they can have some sense that knowing this is moving forward to get along as quickly as possible for everybody.
Right.
So we had a motion by myself and a second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. The ayes have it. All right, thank you. And Madam Clerk, if you could read the next resolution, which I believe you said you have a substitute piece on.
Yes, resolution number 2020-0262, making an award on requisition number 48536 to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $600,000 for general sanitary engineering services for the period 12/8/2020 through 12/7/2023.
Okay, and who's here to speak on behalf of this legislation?
Nicole English with Public Works again. So this is our sanitary GES. We do these general engineering services contracts for both road and bridge, architecture. This is a common practice. This one is for our sanitary. So it would be related to any services that we do with the communities that we have agreements on the sanitary side or Olmsted Township. There are two at $300,000 each. We used an RFQ process. 10 proposals were submitted. We're picking the top two. There was one that was supposed to be set aside for an SBE. We actually, both top ranked firms are SBEs. So we're getting both of them are SBEs that we're awarding to. There is a 30% diversity goal, which they've committed to meet. And these tasks are used as things come up in the different communities that we serve for sanitary. So they're task order contracts, and the money then gets billed back to the community, their sanitary funds based on where we're doing the work. I would appreciate second reading suspension so this contract could get started after award next week.
Okay, and then Ms. English, what's in the substitute?
Oh, there was a whereas clause that seemed to be copied from an old resolution that was referring to a different set of contractors. So it just got
Okay.
deleted.
Okay. Any questions? So this is I know we've done this in the past before, and this is for the communities that have the contracts to come out and do extra work that they can't handle on their own. Is that correct?
Correct. So this is the design side. You sometimes see the
Okay.
cleaning and televising
Right.
and the
Okay.
fixing. This is the front end of design work.
Okay, so that's for design. Okay, any questions for my colleagues?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, Mr. Miller.
My question is, how were these contractors selected? What was the basis for discriminating who got chosen and who was not, and how many contractors expressed interest?
we had 10 submittals, and so this was based on RFQ. And RFQ, we score project methodology, project manager, support staff, firm capability. So what they, the firm has been able to do in the past. And then we have 2 points or 2 sections for geographic location. So you get more points if you are within the county. And then it goes down if you're a neighbor of the county and then in the state, and then also previous work. So they get, if they have work on the books with us in the last 2 years, they get less points. So again, trying to, introduce new people. So actually Environmental Design Group, I cannot recall a time that we've contracted with them. So this is a first time contract that we have with them, a new SBE to the county. Chagrin Valley does do work with us and has in the past.
So it sounds like some of the diversity principles that you used on the retrofit projects that were carried over to this process.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I will make a motion to accept substituted R 2020-0262 on second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second, Conwell.
Okay, we have a plethitude of seconds here. Is that a word? So we'll go with Ms. Conwell because that was the last voice I heard. So we have a second from Ms. Conwell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. And I believe under miscellaneous business, we do have someone here from Public Works to discuss how some of the CARES Act funding is going with respect to Public Works. I see Mr. Devers here and I see Mr. Reimer. So,
yeah, hello, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for having us today. Matt Reimer is going to step up here and give you the overview of the projects that we have in production right now. And as you well know, there has been no extensions. So we are in the sprint now, really,
right
to the end here.
All right.
So Matt will give you the overview, maybe give you a couple of photos also to show you what some of those projects look like. So Matt, if you could.
Thank you, Director, and good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, committee members. Good morning, staff. So I have a couple of things to share, and hopefully I'm going to try and hit the share screen. Hopefully everyone can see that. I had an opportunity to brief the committee 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, and I went through these same statistics. If you can see my screen, it is a emergency building modifications program statistics to date. At the time, I apologize. I shared the wrong file. I greatly apologize. That was the one that I was updating. Let me get the right file up. I greatly apologize, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. For the record, plethitude is a word.
Okay.
It was actually on point.
So this is the corrected file. Mr. Chairman, we have awarded 54 projects. That should be the number that's showing on the screen. 2 weeks ago, when I briefed you, we were at a level of 51 projects awarded, and at $12.8 million, we are now at 54 projects with a value of $13.4 million. And that is, to the director's point, we're in that construction sprint. Unless there's a significant change in the program, this will be where we're at as far as projects awarded. I don't anticipate any other projects awarded past this time, given we're on December 2nd and we're in a sprint to finish as much as we can before the end of the calendar year, or with the authorities and interpretations we have on when materials can arrive and still be installed. I gave you these breakdowns. These are very much the same from last time, even though there are 3 additional projects. We have a 58% value on the phase 1 contracts. Of those projects are on the phase 1 contractors. About 42% are on the phase 2 side. We have 14 participating contractors, all 8 from the phase 1 side, 6 from the phase 2 side. 2 have not shown interest in competing for projects for various reasons. They're busy with other work, is the feedback that we received. We have The number of projects is now at 28 that have a diversity prime contractor that received the contract award. So 28 of 54, or roughly 52% of those projects are going to prime diversity contractors. That is a value of $7.6 million, which is an even greater percentage of almost 57% based on value that are of prime diversity contractors, the prime contractor that has a diversity status. For the overall participation in the diversity level, we stand at just shy of 7.5 million, or almost 56%. And specifically, the number of projects that have MBEs of the prime of those 28 are 21 of those. So almost 39% of the projects are specifically MBE primes. I'll be happy to take any question on those statistics, but I also wanted to share a presentation just to show you progress on some of these projects.
Okay.
And I'm on a slideshow now. I'm hoping that this is viewable.
Okay, Matt, before we proceed,
Yes.
I'd like to go back to that previous slide if you could. And I just want to ask my colleagues if they had any questions on those numbers.
Yes, sir, will do. Hopefully you can see that on the screen.
Okay.
Not specifically on the numbers on that chart, but just an overall, and I know it's been answered before. So Matt, with all the projects that are listed, if we do not complete some of them by the deadline, what then happens? Do we put in, our additional money? I know the goal is to complete them, but just by any chance it doesn't, will the remaining funds come out of the general funds to complete the projects?
Yes, Councilwoman, through the chair to Councilwoman Conwell. The statistics that I have to report, and these are very live statistics right now, and they'll change throughout the month, but of the 54 projects, we have 8 projects that are completed. We have another 23 that are scheduled to be completed on time. And then the remaining 23, we're evaluating them as some sort of schedule risk, primarily because of the material deliveries and the extended ordering times for all of these pieces of equipment that many building owners are seeking also for the same reasons, for building modifications to address pandemic requirements. So of those 23, we have some options and we'll be evaluating them throughout the month. Number one option could be we just finish as much as we can and then reevaluate after we get to the December 31st. Or we make sure that we're able to take receipt of the material that's been ordered, and maybe we do not perform installation because we can't get reimbursed for that contractor installation. And we do that and we schedule that with our county trades workforce. That's another option. A third option would be we feel it's an important enough project that we're going to recommend to you that we continue on, even if it means using my general fund capital appropriation to fill the gap if there is a gap. Specifically, things that may fit this category, I believe it'd be my technical recommendation that our HVAC project upgrades we carry through to completion. Those would be an example of the ones where we're being, we have started construction on all of them, but we're waiting for the technologies to come into the contractor's hands so we can install them. Those are ones that I'd be recommending to the director and to you that we carried through to completion, even if we have to put general funds too. So we'll be conducting those evaluations and project by project of those 23 that I mentioned throughout the month. And we'll be keeping staff informed on what we're thinking and what the cost exposure, if any, will be as we get closer to the end of the year. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That was very helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further questions?
Yes.
Nan Baker. if I can-
Okay, Ms. Baker.
All right, so I've always been concerned about, the balance due at the end of the project and what was going to be able to be completed given such a tight and very aggressive want list of what we had to do. So 23 scheduled that are at risk. So that's almost half of the projects. Can you give us any idea about what liability we have, especially with the HVACs, which I think was the largest cost of this project. I could be wrong, but I think the HVACs were listed at the top. What kind of dollars in ranges from least to most can you give us at this point, given that we are well into the projects and ending with CARES and now going into 2021?
Yes, Councilwoman, through the chair to Councilwoman Baker. On that question, I don't have a good answer for you as we sit here today, but we are about ready to get the November pay applications from all the contractors. And in about a week, I will have a better picture of that and a better projection of when the materials are coming in to know what can be invoiced. Councilwoman, I don't want to dodge that question, but if I may have about another week to 10 days to get you a more informed answer, I would be more than happy to get that through staff to the chair and to the committee.
All right, just as a follow-up, am I correct to say that the HVAC systems were one of the most costly part of this project?
They were. They generally had the highest dollar amount. We had those split up into 4 phases. Each of those HVAC projects per building. The first was a indoor air quality and pre-testing and air balancing phase, so that we knew what size of equipment to be ordering. That first phase has been done by each of those projects, and that's not an insignificant portion of cost to them. So those are completed, and those will be invoiced, and those have immense value to us from building managers to have those studies done. Then the equipment ordering for the bipolar ionization, the UV treatment, and the new filters for the increased filter sizes have all been placed on order. I suspect that we'll be able to get the vast majority of that equipment received and properly invoiced for reimbursement as part of this. So even with that, I think we're at about a 50% project level where we'll have the ability to be reimbursed, and it's the installation based on delivery date and the post testing and air balancing that are what I would deem to be at risk past the 31st at this point in time. And we're going to continue to watch that every day, take advantage of every day that we have, and work to mitigate that. And I will, by all means, update any cost exposures to the committee through the director and as the days go here in December.
All right, I thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you. To Mr. Reimer, can you give us an estimate of what the total value is of the 23 projects where there's schedule risk? How much of the 13.4 million total do those projects comprise?
Mr. Reimer.
Councilman, I absolutely can. On the fly, I'd have to break out the calculator and bore you, but I'm happy to do that in follow up, unless you'd rather me take 30 seconds and try and add those up. But I can provide that.
Okay, you can do it in follow-up so as not to hold up the committee.
Thank you, Councilman.
My second question is that in some previous presentations, you would mention that you felt that projects that were late because of late delivery of materials due to COVID-19, that we could be reimbursed for those projects even if they were completed after the deadline. But in this morning's presentation, make any mention of that. I'm wondering what the latest guidance is you have on that possibility.
Through the chair to Councilman Miller, you are correct, sir. That is still the interpretation that we're working with the law director and the 8th floor on. That's still our understanding that we will have a number of projects that, say, for example, if the material would have only taken this long and now it's taken an extended period of time because of the demand on that material because of the pandemic, then it is our understanding that we will be able to seek reimbursement for those projects in that situation. We haven't, and I'm factoring that into those 23 projects at risk. I'm taking a conservative approach. A number of those 23 could fall into that category. of interpretation. I just want to be conservative in what I'm presenting.
And final question. Is there a best case scenario that the entire 13.4 million will be spent, executed, and reimbursed, or is there a minimum of at least some that will not be completed?
To the councilman through the chair, that will depend highly on the progress here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and what material does arrive that we have not received yet. New material is coming in daily on a lot of these projects, and to Councilwoman Baker's question, especially on the HVAC equipment, when that arrives, we'll know a lot more. But I can keep those cost exposure numbers estimated to the best of my ability as the week and weeks go on here in the first half of the month.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Reimer, I got a quick question for you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
As Councilwoman Baker alluded to, the concern over potential projects that are incomplete at the end of this CARES Act timeline in December. So are these projects that the Public Works Department have planned or listed as part of what we wanted to do using this funding? Are they all slated to go forward, or are some of these more in line, like if we have the money, we'll do it. If we don't intend to move forward with some of these projects? Or are these all going to be a go-ahead, just given the pandemic and the future as far as dealing with these types of issues?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. To that point, everything that you're seeing here on this particular sheet, the 54 projects at 13.4 million, we are proceeding with and have construction progress on. At which point we cut them off, if any, will be the discussion as we go through the month of December. Now, to your point, we do have, as I briefed, I believe at committee 2 weeks ago, we do have a number of projects that we've put a pin in, so to speak, have put on hold. When we had going through that risk analysis of things that for sure could not be done as we were getting the developing legal opinions on what could be reimbursed, we put some categories of projects to the side, and we would only revive those in part or in full if there was a significant change to the program, additional funds available, or an extension to the dates of execution. The kinds of projects that we put on hold were things related to signage and wayfinding that weren't going to be completed, that we didn't believe would be worth the risk, as well as trying to think of the other category. Oh, some major building entry modifications that were going to be extend well into 2021. So those were the kinds of projects that we put on hold for the time being, and we'll see if we have the opportunity to get back to them if the dates are extended and the funds continue to be available or not.
Okay, thank you.
So if I could, Mr. Chair, I'll go on to a presentation.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I'm hoping all committee members can see the slides here.
I'll skip it there just one more.
Right now we have nothing.
Right now you have nothing.
Can't
Or at
see
least
him.
I do.
Okay, I am going to just very quickly stop the share and then
Oh, I thought it was me.
share again.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, now if I hit the slideshow button, Mr. Chairman, does that change? Are you still able to see the?
No, we can see
slideshow?
now. Yes, we can see. It's good.
All right, very good. So what you're looking at here, obviously, as pointed out during last committee meeting on the program, also part of the CARES Act funding, but under a separate authorization, as you know, was the personal protective equipment storage building construction out at the Harvard Yard. What you're seeing is a picture from Wednesday of last week, just before the Thanksgiving holiday. You see that the building is erected from a structural steel standpoint. And you can kind of make out on the left and right sides of the building that the building paneling is being constructed. As we think today, that paneling work is continuing, as is the roof. So by early next week, we anticipate to have that building enclosed. And then all the systems work and the overhead door work and other man doors will be installed. So we're looking quite well on that project and working hand in hand with the Justice Affairs and Public Safety branch to get that building ready for them as we roll into the remaining of the winter months here.
And again, that building is going to be climate controlled. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Is there going to be, because of the nature of the building with the PPE supplies, is there going to be any type of security system with that?
We will have some basic security systems. I'll have to get back to you, Mr. Chairman, on the exact what the exact design calls for. I'm not remembering it offhand, but I'd be happy to provide clarification on that to you.
Okay, I just figured with the PPE supplies that it's a little different stuff that you're dealing with there.
In general, we were bringing over the same systems that we have in the adjacent Harvard Yard building. So I'll confirm that is the case and get back to you. But as you know,
Okay.
this is a locked
Alrighty.
facility. Has a full 2 shifts of public works staff there for the majority of the days, plus a locked site. And we have good collaboration with the Newburgh Heights Police Department on their monitoring of the facility, and they're not shy about calling us if they see something amiss. Okay, now moving on to, these are representative projects throughout the Emergency Building Modifications Program. What you're looking at here are temperature scanning devices. These are 2 that are installed in the houses of the Juvenile Justice Center in the detention houses. We also have, this is an example of the electric that's run in the mounting bracket for the same devices that are being installed in Jail 1 and Jail 2, the downtown jail facility. We also have being deployed to all of our building checkpoints, standalone scanning devices, such as the one that is in the left-hand side of the picture here. And so these scanning devices are just meant to be a tool to assist the screeners in properly screening individuals coming into county buildings, and also distancing those screeners from having to, put a forehead thermometer and automatically break their social distancing when they're conducting those screenings. So these devices are getting deployed as we speak, and are going to be a big help to both in the detention and correction setting, as well as in the entrance to other county buildings. Here's an example. This is a probation officer desk. We have approximately 140 probation officers in the Tower 2 Police Headquarters building, and they meet with clients every day. And what's nice is that you can barely see it, but there's a plexiglass shielding in front of the probation officer's workstation of where they meet with their probation clients in the chair that's in the foreground of the picture. So that's an example of what's been done throughout the probation officer offices in similar transaction areas. This is in the Justice Center atrium. This is the backside of a new partition wall system. I'm sorry, this is the front side of that same installation. In the atrium of the Justice Center, the various courts have reception areas where they are screening people coming in for court business, making sure they're there on the right day and the right time, and then giving them a pass to get up on the elevators and up onto the court floors. So we've installed these partition systems to protect those court employees that are working in screening and having those public transaction interactions with individuals. I skipped over a picture here. This is also in the Justice Center complex. We're automating those restroom fixtures. Not a particularly exciting picture, other than you can see tape on the wall beneath the sinks. That's where the power is being run to power the automated fixtures that will be installed here momentarily on those sink devices. These next few pictures are examples of where we have both employees in the Justice Center that were very densely populated with their workstations, but they also had low cubicle areas. So we've installed appropriate furniture extensions onto those cubicle devices. We've enclosed and screened public transaction counters, such as the one you're seeing here. Again, these are cubicle extensions. You see the top with the clear partitions to better isolate people that are in dense working environments, need to be there, but offers a separation from their coworkers. An example of those material deliveries that come in, these are those furniture extensions getting installed all over the Justice Center as we speak now. This is an example of a protective services or court security workstation on one of the court floors to properly protect and isolate those individuals that are seeing public and county employees throughout the day, and to screen who's coming in on the floors. This is an example of restroom automation in the county admin administrative headquarters building. We're doing very similar projects on many of our buildings. You can see the squares that are on the wall behind the toilet fixture. Those are where they'll be pulling the new plumbing and power to install the new automation devices. At many of our county buildings, we're also replacing existing drinking fountains with automated water fillers to eliminate those touch surfaces. Many of these projects are complete already. This project is at the old courthouse. This is in the probation department. This is a picture of the same site, two different pictures of the same site. This will enhance and protect all those public transaction counters that happen in probate. And there are similar projects throughout the various courts where in the clerk's offices where they have public transaction. We're renovating those spaces, sometimes new furnishings, as in this case, where we've cleared out existing furnishings and we'll be coming back in with new to properly set up for public transactions that protects both the public and especially in the public when they get into data entry needs at workstations for public terminals, and then for the court employees for when they have to meet with those public clients. These final pictures just go back to the spring and summer when we made different modifications, interim modifications to the Justice Center just to restore the limited restoration of court services that happened in June and July. So these are just some of the reception areas that we had set up in those court facilities and how we've set up various courtrooms. And I will continue to provide those kinds of pictures with my weekly report, which I did submit to council staff this morning for this week in preparation for this committee hearing.
I appreciate that, Mr. Reimer.
So that's what I have, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, do we have any questions from my colleagues?
I may ask, Chair.
Yeah, Ms. Baker.
So I know that especially with the separations of employee workers and protecting them right now and making sure that they're safe and have what they need to prevent from getting the COVID-19. When we enter into 2021 and 6 months from now or 8 months from now or a year from now, and people are not wearing masks anymore and they're walking freely through in and out of different retail and business environments, will some of this be taken down, or is this going to remain permanent for any kind of flu or any kind of something that's out there that even our internal employees that sometimes collaborate and work together and share information will still have that isolation around their desk? What is the thought on when we put all this together?
Mr. Reimer?
Yes, through the chair to Councilwoman Baker, that is a great question, Councilwoman, because we've tried to anticipate that, but I think the answer will vary depending on what business entity or agency we're talking about. We've tried to make smart decisions like you saw with the furniture cubicle workstations, where we're not just slapping some plexiglass on top that's going to destroy that furniture. We've installed the compatible furnishings through the furniture manufacturer to extend the height of those cubicles so that it can be there and remain if desired, or or removed if need be after this pandemic concern is over. But we anticipate that things where we've made those furniture modifications appropriately for the long term will stay. Now, for some of the transaction counters or those reception areas where we have more temporary looking plexiglass installations, certainly we'll work with the agency to decide if that's still something of value to them post-pandemic, and then what we do to sunset that installation, and we have the ability to do that or repurpose them for another reason. But we've, in the areas where we know that we've had dense work environments, that it would be best to mitigate some separation with workers, we tried to install a more permanent solution. And in other areas, we're resting with temporary solutions. We try to overlay that that exact question to some of our decision making as we've gone forward.
Okay, if I may,
Sure.
it's good to know that you have given that thought, because any extremes either way is not good. So giving some flexibility to allowing perhaps separations to be installed, taken down, maybe reinstalled is maybe a good thought process as we hopefully get through to a more, what we remember being a normal year come summer, fall, or even this time next year. So thank you for that answer. I'm glad that you gave thought to that.
Sure. And along those same lines as Ms. Baker's line of questioning, I mean, I think changes to things like restrooms, I don't think we'll ever go out of style. I mean, that's a good thing to have, hands free and all that. And same with entrances and HVAC systems, things like that. But to your point, we'll have to adjust as we all adjust from this withdrawal of this pandemic. Hopefully, like you said, sooner rather than later. I'm sick of this basement. Okay. Anyway, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we appreciate it. And I want to thank Mr. Miller for requesting that Mr. Reimer come before us today to update us on some of these things. So that you brought that to my attention is maybe a good time to get an update. So I appreciate that. Is there anything else before Public Works Committee this afternoon? Okay, seeing none, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay, and the ayes have it. And Public Works Committee will adjourn at 10:44 a.m. Thank you, everybody.